We're back.
We're back. It's from B to Z. Not set to bed.
Yes. Not
and
set to bed.
We never say what episode number it is because we never know.
That's true.
I think it's supposed to be episode 4, maybe episode 2. Who knows? Episode 5. We don't know. We never know. We just decide when we feel like it.
For sure.
So, where did the Z go? That I got.
Oh, I just put it in my bag.
Okay, well let's bring it out. Yeah,
sure?
Let's bring it out. I want to show everyone.
No, yeah.
So I got Z this because he got me that mug with the B, and so I was like, okay, we have to have something with your like initial. So this is like one of those cool, what is it, wine stoppers. So, and it's actually really good quality. It's really heavy. It feels like real gold. It's not,
right.
But it feels like it. So we have that,
It's
and then
cute.
I thought it would be cool if we had like the wine bottle with it sitting on it, but you know, it's okay.
I'll probably incorporate. I'll leave it here on the side for now.
Yeah, we'll just let it. Let's make it like.
Is it gonna stand?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Look!
So I'm Z, not Z.
Yeah, and I didn't bring my mug today. I forgot, so it's okay. So I didn't, actually Z doesn't know. We got new buttons. I brought new buttons. 2 of them are Alex's, 2 of them are mine. I just realized I should have some for you because the ones that I got, like there's this one, which I used a lot last time because they wouldn't stop.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the way we were going to start off this episode is I'm just going to tell you some stories. So, you know, have you seen on my Instagram, like, my doll collection, my obsession with dolls? Like,
some
my
of
custom
them,
dolls? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I obviously have an obsession with dolls. The creepy doll lady. And,
not creepy.
You know what? Jacques is, like, so upset. Like, I would go to him, and I'd be like, do you like my doll? Do you like my new doll? And then he's just like, no. And I'm like, can you at least humor me? Like, pretend that you like it. Like, I know that you don't like it. He's like, they're creepy. And he gets creeped out by them. So then now every time I'm like, do you like my doll? He's like, yes, I love your doll.
Just to jump in, I feel like it would be creepy if it was like a voodoo doll.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
but they're
like,
not voodoo dolls.
No, I know, but I'm saying like that's
yeah.
just so with that, if they're not voodoo dolls, then it's not creepy whatsoever. They're just ordinary dolls, and you just have a collection.
Yeah, but apparently they look really creepy. You've seen them, right?
That's subjective.
I guess so. But so, anyways, so I have an obsession with dolls, and also growing up, like, you know, I never got the dolls that I wanted because we were poor, and then the dolls that I got were from garage sales, so I always had to like cut their hair and cut their clothes and stuff to get it how I wanted. Anyways, long story short. I would buy my nieces. I spoil my nieces, right?
Yeah.
So, their parents hate me. Like, my sister-in-law and my half-brother hate me every time Christmas and their birthdays come around because my niece's birthday is right before Christmas.
Yeah, and your
so
birthday
is mine
right after Christmas.
And so I flood them. I buy them like 6 dolls each. And they're like the fancy new dolls. Like have you seen the LOL OMG dolls? They're They're so weird.
Wait, there's a
They're
doll
like
that's like
millennial
an
dolls, and it's an LOL OMG dolls. They're like super popular with kids.
Wait,
right?
so it's like the acronym, and they have like legs and a face?
No.
Like, I'm just
It's an actual doll. Like, it's an actual doll, but they're supposed to be like millennials or like I don't know if they have Gen Z, but it says like the millennial dolls, and they're supposed to be millennials, which doesn't make sense because they're like geared towards like Gen Z. Well, not Gen Z, but younger than Gen Z. I don't know what they are now. Gen Alpha. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. And so, anyways, I flood them with dolls. Those are some of them. And one day I came over, like recently, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I went over. And I was like, oh, guys, show me your dolls. I want to see the dolls I got you because they have like 1 million for me. And I looked and I was horrified. I was horrified because they were destroyed and they were all naked. All of them. Every single one. Just, I opened the drawer and all you see are just naked dolls. And I'm like, what? I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what the hell, guys? And you know what? One of my nieces is 7, almost like turning 8.
Yeah.
The other one's a little younger, so it's like I can understand it. But every time I looked at, they were like, they closed the drawer. They're like, don't look at those. And then they got like a couple normal dolls that like weren't derobed. They're like, let's play with these ones. And then I kept opening the drawer and I'm just like, why? And I was like heartbroken. I'm like, why? And I'm like, why are they naked?
Nudist rights.
And I kept saying it over and over. I'm like, why are they naked? And then I felt like my nieces were embarrassed and they were like, no, it's fine. Like, it's fine. Their hair was destroyed, everything. And then after that, I was like, I'm not buying you guys any more dolls. You don't appreciate the dolls.
Nope. Unless that's their way of appreciating.
There are ways to derobe them and leave them naked in the drawer with like, one was missing an arm. I'm like, how are you guys just like beating up these dolls?
Maybe that Barbie doll had flesh-eating bacteria, and you know what? They had to amputate. Okay, like,
and also they play rough too. Like when we were playing together, they were just like, this one will attack you every time you talk, and then I would be like, wait, what? And they would start beating the dolls, and I'm just like, why are you guys so aggressive? What? Okay.
No judgment. No judgment.
No, I see it on your face. But it's just, yeah, it was just heartbreaking for me. And now I'm like, I don't want to give them dolls. I get that they're kids, but it's also like, I thought about it. I'm like, maybe they're getting so spoiled that they're like, whatever. Like, we'll just get a new doll next, like Christmas, next birthday. So now I'm gonna be like, I'm not getting you shit, you guys. You ruined it for yourselves, okay? When I saw this one doll I got them, it was so beautiful. It was such a pretty doll. I wanted to keep it. Eyelashes ripped off, dress destroyed, hair. They apparently brought it into the pool with them, and so the hair was like. And I was just like, I was like so close to tears. I was drunk too, which didn't help.
Isn't there kind of Barbie dolls that like are water?
There are ones that are meant to
they change like their skirt
but
color
the problem
or hair.
is chlorine. I think like no matter what, if you go in the pool with any doll, the chlorine messes up the hair because it's not real hair. It's like
Of course.
I don't know material,
so
but
it's
like
more like shower and bath.
Like normal, like if you use tap water or something. Then
fair.
I know what you're talking about, like the hair.
Yeah, because I remember I see the commercial like as a kid and stuff like that.
So anyways, that was one thing. I have another one that's like a really embarrassing story. Actually, I don't even know if I'm gonna tell you that story. I'll tell you that after.
That's fine.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna go that deep on this episode, so we'll cut that out. But so that was all I wanted to tell you was that doll story. I don't know did you ever have dolls as a kid? Actually, I'm curious.
Not really.
No? And was it like your parents didn't let you? You didn't want to, or?
I wasn't really that interested.
Oh, okay.
Like I didn't really find the hype on dressing a doll.
Because I know that when we were growing up, there was a whole like gender rules and stuff.
Yeah,
and, guys don't play with dolls. There's action figures.
I wasn't into that either. I was way too much into Pokemon, like in Game Boy.
True. Okay, so the real topic we were gonna get into was. I don't know if we should call it schools versus prisons or schools are glorified prisons.
Let's go with the glorified.
Yeah, they're glorified prisons. So one video I found interesting, and I'm probably just gonna put it up if I find it.
Okay.
But it was showing like the comparisons of prison to schools. Yeah. And it showed how they have the same buses. Like there's the white, it's like a white school bus for prison, then like yellow school bus for schools. And then the fact that like some of the windows sometimes have bars on them, right? Like there are some schools that have that. Just even the structure of the building. And so that was just kind of like a small thing of like the comparison by the look.
From the exterior perspective.
Yeah, but in the interior, when you think about it, like I've always complained to Jacques or even people I know about how school literally felt like a prison to me growing up. Not just because I had ADHD, that was definitely a factor, but also I felt like, I was reading a lot of stories that really like got to me because there was this one about this kid who, they had a dysfunctional family. Their parents were the ones driving them to school, and their parents would decide when they felt like bringing the kid to school. So the kid would be late all the time. And the teachers would penalize this kid. This kid was like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years old. Oh, okay. And they would be penalized for being late. And I remembered, I was like, yeah, that was a thing when we were kids. Yeah. Isn't that kind of messed up when you think about it? Because it's like, how am I responsible for when my parents decide to bring me to school? Like I can't go by myself.
Yeah.
Like
that kid's not driving.
Yeah, or like
not taking transit.
And even with me, like I wasn't allowed to walk to school by myself because like I could get kidnapped and I didn't live in a good area.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. So I was like never late because of my parents. I was late because of myself. I slept in and my mom would like, my mom would do the thing where she ripped the sheets off me, open the blinds. I'd be like, no!
The light, it burns!
So, but when I was reading that, I was like, it is kind of weird when you think about it, that teachers penalize kids for things they have no control over.
Which in a prison perspective, the prison guards are penalizing the it's like for anything little,
and it's like you don't have a choice. Like you have to go to school up until a certain point. So you have to go there. And yeah, I get that it's not like a prison. Like, obviously, it's an extreme to compare it to prison because prison...
Glorified.
Yeah, we say well, because it's like, obviously in a prison, they have there's, potential violence. There's like the kind of like politics within it. It's...
That's true.
It's...
Well, you do have some politics in the school on a smaller scale.
I guess so,
Like, you have like the student body president.
What happens, by the way, like, this is, I just thought of this. So, like, if kids didn't go to school and the parents didn't account for the kid, they could go to jail, right? Is that a thing here?
What do you mean?
So, like, how I think it's considered, like, child neglect or something. I need, like, a fact check on this.
You can homeschool your children.
You can, but I'm saying that if the parents don't account, like, if they don't say they're homeschooling you and the kid's not going to school, like, when they're younger... Can't they potentially, like, go to jail? I need a fact check on that.
I don't think so. Because...
Yeah, so there is, we can do the fact check on it.
Yeah.
But you have to account for what you're doing to your kid. You can't just be like, they're not going to learn anything.
Yeah.
You can't they're not going to school, we're not homeschooling them, we're not doing, like, a religious school or something of that. You can't just not account for your child.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, like some level of learning...
has to be
given to a child.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
I didn't know that. And
that's
for...
When you register for them for birth based on the address, they'll expect to start seeing your kid in the school system. And if too many years go by, they'll start asking questions like,
interesting.
And I'm pretty sure parents...
They're still a citizen. We don't see them going to any school. But yeah, you can't, up to high school is technically mandatory. But like, in high school, it can get lost.
Gray
if you
area.
drop out of high school, it's not a big deal. Once you hit 18, they won't give a shit.
Yeah.
Once you hit 18, they won't give a crap.
Yeah.
But high school is technically mandatory.
And that's the interesting thing too, because it's like I get why, right? Because one, like if a kid's being abused and the parent just decides not to bring the kid to school and not to teach the kid anything, then that's neglect or abuse in some form because they're not able to
contribute back to the society
actually get their own life and become independent. But at the same time, it's like. It's interesting that we're so, what's the word? We're just so accepting of this like process that we have to go and we have to learn certain things, right?
And that was exactly what Z said there. It's they have to. That's the cycle of a government, right?
Yeah.
They have to contribute back.
You have kids. They learn. They contribute to society. Society makes money.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a cycle of.
Well, I was even thinking from
any government. So for you to just bring a kid who can't read a damn thing.
Get him a job.
It's like that's a kid that they want
to be like a functioning kind of student stuff.
Fun.
I'm ready for you.
I was even thinking, I'm like, in some scenarios, I feel like I never came across, like, I had to think about this because for the most part, I feel like most parents, by the time their kids get like to the age of like 6, they get very annoying. So parents get actually very happy.
Or the parents?
The kids get annoying to the parents.
Oh, yeah.
So the parents want to have them in school as long as possible so they can get a break. So they can like train.
What's funny is I get it though.
You know what I mean?
Because I took care of my niece, but she was still a toddler. I took care of my niece.
I just watched.
No interruptions, Wa.
Chopper can.
You could go in after I'm done. All I was gonna say was I took care of my niece for 4 months, and every time, like at the end of the week when I was gonna go home, I was like, Jesus Christ, like I need a break. But yeah.
So you have 3 parents sitting here on the couch, and I'm pretty sure at least 2 of us will say, "Damn right."
You're like, yeah.
Or if we're having the kids go to school, right? Like it makes a big difference.
They went crazy during the pandemic. Yeah.
Especially at work too, right? Because you always need to have money to have an income to provide for your kids because you love them so much. Love.
Now let's flip that for a second.
Yeah.
What about how the kids might feel though, right? So I've had points where I've had to drop my daughter off right as daycare opens, so that's 7 a.m. Mm-hmm. And then they're there right until 6 p.m. Right? That's the whole day. She goes to bed.
That's a long time, yeah.
That's the whole day. She goes to bed at 8.
Yeah.
Right? Between travel home.
That's so
an
long.
Hour at their own house. Yeah, that's
Is that normal?
But that's what I'm saying is we're getting rid of them because we understand the stress of life, but for them, half their life is outside their house and they don't even understand why.
I agree, yeah.
They don't even know why their day is so long. When they have a temper tantrum that happens at 2 or 3 when school normally they done they're forced to deal with the consequences and punishments with like their teachers.
That's
Whoever
true.
is in authority.
Yeah.
It's not like they can be like, okay, I'm ready to go home. I'm done with the day, right?
Oh,
so
that's
like
so
they're
sad,
also
yeah.
like when you flip that, it's a relief for us, but it's actually a stress we put on them.
That's
right?
true.
If they could spend 24 hours with their parents, they would.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
We've essentially shoved them off for our own kind of.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
so.
obviously, from a parent's perspective, and in this particular example and scenario, it's not intentional that you're putting them in from 7 to 6 because you want them to be out of the house for that long. But you're probably having them out of the house for that long because you and your partner have complicated schedules, or you guys are taking on more extra work shifts or double shifts or whatever the case is. If there's no cars, there's transit, like everything takes into account.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's like, but yeah, it's really vital to think about from the kid's perspective.
Yeah,
but at
because
the same time, it is for their best interest in the long run, right? It's not about the short term, it's more the long term.
It's like we see it as in a general sense that it's like in their best interest, but there's also, like Alex was talking about, right? Like when I was growing up, for example, when I was put into school, I literally thought my parents were abandoning me, and I would cry. Like, they actually had to take me out of school after, like, a week because I would cry every day. And I wouldn't, every day at school, I'd be having, like, a tantrum or a meltdown or something because I thought my mom was, like, leaving me there forever. Even no matter how people reassured me, teacher, mom, they're like, I'm coming back. I'd be like, no.
I had my cry moments too. When I was being dropped off to daycare and school.
But that was also related to the fact that my dad left when I was that age, right? So it's like when my dad left and now my mom's dropping me off in like this random place I've never been to, I was just like freaking out, like, oh my God, like this is my new reality.
Okay, so now let me hit you guys with another form of institutionalization. Most of us were afraid on our first day.
Yeah.
You spent
I was
24 hours a day with your parents.
Yeah.
Whatever. They dropped you off. The first little bit, you're terrified, and all of a sudden you're excited to go to school.
I was excited after like 3 weeks.
They've warped you.
Yeah.
That's what prison is, right?
So
like,
for me,
terrified the first day, but then you acclimate. That's institutionalization.
Yeah, that's true.
You acclimate to it. Then suddenly the first day of school is the most exciting part of every year.
And then there's some people who don't, right? It's like everyone's different. Like in prison and school, there's people who don't acclimate at all, right? And they struggle.
Those are the ones that don't find a place in schools, though. When you're cool and you're having fun and all that shit is great. But when you're getting bullied and all that shit, you don't want to be there.
But that's the sad part, right?
Same thing when you're the top dog in prison or you're part of a dominant gang, you're fine.
Because I got bullied a lot too. Like I wasn't bullied.
Not fun times in prison.
Yeah. You sound like this is from experience.
What?
The way you said you're like not a fun time in prison.
Did that work?
What are you talking about?
I'm just
what the fuck?
just talking out my.
When I tell you stuff in private, you don't say it on camera.
It's like trigger.
I'm triggered, dude. No one was there for me.
Oh my God.
No, I was gonna add.
Yeah,
kind of comment because yes, like as kids, like we get terrified, but then we understand it like from that it's a normal positive thing to go to the school because you're also making friends, you're having like recess, playtime, like it's a different kind of fun than you would be having at home with your parents and stuff. Jail is a bit of a different category because obviously like as a kid you're still new to the world, you're just learning and absorbing and retaining everything.
Yeah.
Jail as an adult, you've already been functioning in the society. Depending on your age, obviously, like I don't.
Or you like maybe not functioning, but you were in society.
Yeah,
like, you know
like
what it's like.
You've been kind of developed and stuff, and then when you go to jail, like it's scary, and then like you acclimate, which I'm guessing.
Acclimate.
Yeah,
like
means
you
like you
get
adapt.
Yeah.
But I think that you have to adapt because it's inevitable to adapt. Because if you don't adapt, it's like you
don't survive.
Exactly, yeah, kind of. I don't want to say don't survive, but it's like at the end of the day, like you eventually have to.
That's not necessarily true. Like you're just mixing. You're just changing the scenario from a child to an adult, right? If you get forced to jail because you did something wrong, someone's forcing you to go there. Your parents are forcing you to go to school. You get used to it after a while. You either like the life that you're in, like the lifestyle, like school,
correct,
or you don't like it.
Correct, but with school you can still change. Like your family can move. You can go to private school. You know, like
you
but
can switch
jail,
the prison you're in. You go
from a prison
start snitching and get something softer. Don't act like it's not like you have no choice but to be in prison. You have no choice but to be in school. But you can adjust the situation.
Correct, like the adjustment.
It is very the same thing.
I think that
Correct.
point
is very, and the way schools are structured is very the same thing, right?
I think the point
you
is
eat lunch,
is,
you learn all that stuff.
I think like that's what we're saying, but I think Z's point is just the fact that like when you're in school, you can go home at the end of the day. You can take a break from it, whereas prison you literally can't. Like you don't get a break. So if you're getting
What about military school?
well, I don't know anything about that. What do you know about that?
What school? Military?
What about military school?
That
school you're not technically
they
in
board
prison.
there, right? Like they can't leave.
Yeah, but isn't that...
I don't know much
How's
about
that any
military
different than like somebody in jail who's allowed to go
But
home
don't kids usually get sent to military school as kind of like a punishment because so it's almost like a jail more so than regular school?
A lot of military people send their kids to those kind of schools because they want them to get that kind of
training and procedures. Yeah,
it's not mandatory to be a punishment.
Yeah.
No, I've only ever heard of military school, as like a threatening, as a punishment.
Like Malcolm in the Middle?
Yeah, I'll send you to military school, and then Francis is in military school. That was a good show.
But he's so
sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, B.
No.
Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because definitely what you're mentioning too, it is like the fact that like in the prison you're there more 24 hours, and the other thing too is like with jail, when you're like in school, if you make trouble, you go for detention, which is like an extra hour maybe after class or the school ends and stuff like that, give or take, right? Whereas in prison, if you become mischievous in prison, they bring you to the shoebox, right? Which is literally just 4 walls.
This sounds like a kid's punishment versus adult punishment.
Correct.
It's still
but the level of shoebox is more on a higher level of psychological because you literally just have 4 walls around you, and the only thing that's really torturing you is your own mind because you don't know what time is, you can't communicate, you don't know what anything is, you don't have any entertainment, and so you're driving yourself crazy, and the jail's not doing anything. There's no one punishing you, no one's torturing you, but it's your own mind.
But think about this, the tension is usually like you like sitting down for an hour by yourself in a room. And think about how that hour looked to you as a child.
Correct, because you don't understand the perception of time.
But that's what I'm saying. It's child it's just a child versus an adult punishment. It's
correct.
the same
I have
punishment.
a quick point to make.
But the child's not gonna make themselves go crazy.
I have a quick point to make because like you guys were talking about solitary confinement.
Yeah, shoebox. Yeah, whatever.
Shoebox or whatever.
Solitary confinement is a proper term.
So I was thinking about it because I was like, I'm pretty sure that was abolished in Canada, and so I look it up. And the government announced that they abolished solitary confinement, but apparently it continues under new names.
They finesse their way.
They finesse, bruh. Okay, so I'm just like looking.
They found the loophole. I mean, they are the government, so.
As of 2019, it was supposed to be abolished, but now they say they continue to do it in a variety of ways. So it's like, what was it? Structured Intervention Unions, SIUs, were implemented.
I swear the creativity with these terms.
I know. I feel like they're just trying to avoid like the laws that would get them in trouble.
Because they know that the stigma associated with solitary confinement.
Yeah.
And they realize the psychological impacts it has and repercussions it has on those prison mates, even if they're innocent or they do their jail time and they get released after X amount of years or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
It still impacts them. So now they abolished it, but now they just renamed it, just so they can still implement those practices.
I think they're gonna try to fight it because in that article it seems like they're gonna try to fight it and like bring attention to it. But
it's just very interesting to know overall.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Because like I can see why it's a struggle in prisons, right? Because it's like you have these people who are sleeping in the same room with other people. Let's say they try to like shank one of them or kill them, right?
Which happens, and they don't care.
Yeah,
they don't care.
They have stuff going on there, and so they try to like keep that violent person away from them. But they don't. They also don't want to like. The way I see it is like they probably don't want to reward them with their own room, right? Where they give them like their own room where they're away from people and they're like, this is the life. I don't get bothered by anyone.
What room do you want to really preserve though? It's literally a flat bed with like.
Yeah, but maybe it wouldn't make a difference. I don't know, but I think solitary confinement. The reason they did it is because it was supposed to be like a really strict, strict punishment of like if you keep acting out, like you're gonna be going through this hell. Yeah, but at the same time, they've shown that it doesn't do anything but make them worse and like maybe even more violent. So
correct.
If you see that it's not working, what's the point of using it? Like you just and it kind of feels lazy too because it's like you just throw them in solitary confinement. Why don't the guards just like keep an eye on them and make sure they don't do anything?
So it's funny how you mention this now because it brought me back to learning this psychological test study that was done. I'm forgetting some of the authors, but I'm
we'll
sure.
look it up after.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone may have heard it or seen it. And there was a Netflix episode, I believe, where they brought volunteers and they had half of them become prison guards and half of them become prison mates.
I know this.
And they wanted to know the psychological effect that would have based on these just random strangers that don't have any backgrounds like this. And they did they had the experiment.
Weren't they university students or something?
Something like that, yeah. They wanted to have the experiment done for 2 weeks. And I think they shut it down after 5 days based on how it escalated because of that power dynamic between the authority and the prison mates and stuff like that. It's very, very.
I don't remember if it was the same experiment, but there was an experiment like that where they did it where it was like prison guards and they were the people were like jailed, and then after like a few days they switched. Or something like that. It was like they switched so that
could be another study or experiment that was done, but
were the prison guards, and then they were in. But what's funny is
the second time around they probably would have been more aggressive.
You know what's funny? I have to fact check this, but from what I remember, it was like they were less aggressive because they knew how horrible it felt to be in that state, something like that.
But maybe because I mean,
I don't remember. Maybe some of them were more aggressive, but that's what I remember from that study. We have to fact check.
Yeah.
Do we have a fact checker here? Anybody? Okay.
Going once, going twice.
We don't have Jacques here today. It's an experiment with prison guards, university students.
Just
who
type
became prison guards, and then what's the word? And prisoners.
Yeah.
Prison guard and prisoner experiment, something like that. I don't remember. I think it was university. It's really hard.
Once I hear one of the author's name, I will be able to confirm because I learned it in university.
Yeah.
Or college rather. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about it. I think we talked about it in college too, actually.
And then I remember the Netflix or some other platform released a film of it, right?
Yeah. You found it? So what was the result?
Doctor something.
The Stanford Prison Experiment was a 1971 study conducted by psychologist Philip Zimbardo. Sorry, I don't know if I pronounced it right. And his colleagues that looked at the impact of becoming a prisoner or prison guard. It had to be stopped after just 6 days due to the extreme stress and anxiety experienced by the participants. The study has been widely cited as evidence of antivistic. I don't know that.
Authority.
Anti-authority.
Antivistic? I don't know what that means. Antivistic impulses that lurk within us all, showing that we could all become tyrants with a little nudge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, but did it say that they switched or no?
No.
Maybe
I didn't go into it, but I think that's what it was kind of. That's what
this particular one didn't have the switch. That's what I remember.
Okay. The one that I remember. Okay, I'll have to look it up at some point. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of like messed up.
Yeah, it's just, but it's very like eye-opening in a sense that people in our current prison systems, people who are prison guards are abusing their powers.
I don't think I would.
You don't think you would?
I don't believe I would. I'm too much of a.
I mean, technically, imagine someone's you can do whatever you want to these prison mates, and then the warden won't do anything because they don't give a.
The funny thing is, I don't not do shit. I don't.
No, I know.
I don't avoid doing shit just because I think I would get caught. I've never been like that.
Correct.
It's just. I've never cared for power. I've really never cared for
proper.
power.
I
feel like a lot of the people who are like that are people who maybe secretly wish to have that power.
Secretly narcissistic.
Yeah, maybe or maybe
no,
just it could also be a way of them releasing some kind of internal things that they have inside of them, which I get.
But yeah, it was very interesting just overall because it just kind of shows these people who were in this part of this experiment were just ordinary people. They didn't know one another. They didn't have any vengeance or any grudge or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But then it's just once you have this this uniform, it gave you that psychological mindset. It kind of affect it affects your mindset for this. And there was another similar experiment in a different way, where this person wearing a lab coat had to send some shocks to someone every time they got an answer wrong. Now, the person wasn't actually getting shocked, but the person that they were facing made it seem that every time they got an answer wrong, they would shock them.
So they would pretend to be shocked?
Yeah, but it's that person had to shock them because they had to listen to the authority of someone who's in a lab coat, right? So imagine you're the one that's
Okay.
you're not in this experiment, and your I don't know superior is wearing a
Okay.
lab coat. Okay, so he tells you every time this person gets a wrong answer, you increase the voltage. Okay.
So the guy in the lab coat tells me increase the
voltage
every
every
time
time
he gets it wrong.
wrong,
Okay.
right?
Just gonna come talk about that.
Now in reality, no one is getting shocked.
Yeah.
But psychology for you have to.
So
and,
I think that they're getting shocked.
Yeah,
I
and
see.
you're feeling compelled not to increase the voltage because you're hearing them in pain.
Yeah.
But
I
because
definitely-
you see someone who's a superior in a lab coat, you're like they kind of take on that ownership responsibility because it's like it's not gonna come to you if that person died from being too shocked from the voltage.
Are
It
people
would
little
it would fall under that person with the lab
little
coat,
bitches?
right?
Like,
But it's just very fascinating.
I'm sorry, but if my boss told me to start shocking people like more and more, I would be like, "Excuse me, no, I am not."
But that's the thing,
do you know?
right?
Do you know
it's
there are
like,
many
then you-
times I've refused my bosses to do stuff like that I
But-
thought was unethical.
So this, and I don't want to bring it.
was there context to this? Where it
Yes,
was like,
yeah, because
okay,
it
so
referenced
what's
back to the Holocaust. I don't get so deep into it, but just because people had to, kill people, but those people did not want to, but they had to listen to their authority. Right? That was the context.
I know a lot
that's
about
that's where
this.
the
Yeah,
I know,
I
I
get it.
I don't want to get so deep into it, but that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah,
context of the psychological experiment.
I think so. When it comes to the Holocaust, right? There were a lot of people claiming that they were just following orders.
That's what
Yeah,
it was.
There were a
Yeah.
lot of people.
That experiment was done based on what happened at the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
obviously there was a lot of trials against crimes against humanity, that type of stuff right after.
Correct. The ethical,
The
morals,
ethical, a lot of people, their claim was, we only did it because our superiors made us do it.
Exactly, 'cause they
right.
had-
So they like, okay, cool, let's test it, and then they just brought strangers in.
Yeah.
And almost all the time, the person would be like, "Oh, turn the voltage up."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they turned it up, and them as an individual is sick, but just because it's my superior or they're telling me to do something.
Because they realized that they were not gonna get the blame, so they're like, well, as long as I'm not gonna be,
But-
not me, yeah.
It's
so
not me, and it
that's
falls
what so
onto
many
them,
Germans,
But
like,
they
then
did
it makes it
pass
okay. But that's where the moral and ethical borderline is that it doesn't make it okay, even though you're not the one that's getting
The problem
exposed.
with comparing it to the Holocaust is when you go through the
not-
court records and the videos they disproved a lot of that it was just following orders because a lot of them knew what was going on. A lot of them
Yeah.
were aware, and a lot of them they had like even the whole like fact that all these officers, right? Like all these Nazis, I want to call them officers, Nazis, who were were putting Jewish people or like they put like Romanis, right, disabled people,
Gypsies.
Romani because they prefer that. Gypsy is apparently an offensive term. I didn't know that.
Oh,
I found that.
Romani?
Yeah.
I thought Romani was the Romanian.
No.
So I'm like, that's the wrong demographic.
No. Romani is what they prefer to be called. Anyway,
Oh,
so they're
okay.
putting them on trains, and these Nazis.
I learned something new.
Right? And these Nazis are throwing their luggage, their possessions all in this pile, and they're taking it. And they're being told
Yeah.
that they're never going to be given, and then meanwhile telling the people they will get their belongings. So there was a lot of disproving the fact that they were just following orders.
Yeah, I
So-
feel like there's some demographics
A lo-
that were.
I'm
Maybe
not saying
some.
that. I'm just saying the experiment.
No,
can't be
yeah,
denied.
I know.
Got derived.
I'm just
The reason they did it, like, you can't argue with the fact that people will just be sheep.
I
Correct.
get the point of the experiment. I'm just pointing that out just because of what I know. 'Cause,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I feel like
which
a lot
was
of
very-
people,
It
a
was
lot
college,
of
by the way.
Which one?
That's where they were showing it. That general class you have to take in college and university.
Gen Ed?
Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah, the very first one, you have no choice but to take, but it's not part of your actual program.
Yeah,
That
Gen
was
Ed.
like the
Yeah.
first-
Well,
that
at
was-
least
Oh.
for
that was
Your
the
college.
first thing they
elective,
made
your
us
Yeah,
study.
yeah.
That was the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
thing
yeah.
they made us study was that case.
yeah.
Interesting.
So I was only saying that because I see a lot of people like saying, oh, there are probably a lot of people who are just following orders now. They're getting shit for it, and it's like there's a lot of. They disproved a lot of it. There are a
Yeah.
lot of people who very much knew
So-
what they were doing and were enjoying
Yeah,
it.
some people were very like heartless in that sense because they did
What?
not care.
Straight up monsters.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, very heartless.
Ivan
Getting
the
into
Terrible
the
is a
sadistic
huge
side, right?
example. Like he just he tortured for fun. Like
Yeah.
it was like these people were given like authority and they just
Abused it.
Yeah, they basically let it get to their head and they didn't care. They didn't care who was hurt in the end.
Yeah.
And they were like disposing of bodies. Like it was
Yeah.
so obvious. Like I don't when you look at it, when you look at the footage. Anyways, we're not gonna get into that. I get too passionate about this stuff. So all right, moving on. So do you want-
Schools and prisons are very alike.
That's the consensus, okay? But I think in the end, we do have to point out the fact that obviously we know there's a huge difference between prisons and schools. It's just interesting that we all just accept the fact that, like, we have to go to school. We have to learn these things. And if we don't, our parents can go to jail or get penalized in some way. Oh, my God. You're like,
How can I emancipate myself from my parents without emancipating myself from my parents?
Toxic! You're so toxic! Anyways.
My toxic trick is like, I think I can
should post that and then it just cuts to a prison inmate.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine?
So, okay, moving on. So what was the next topic we had?
We want to mention some astrology.
That's at the end.
Oh.
That's at the end. We still have something else to go
It's at the end.
He's like, I'm over it. Bye. Bye. So, I was going to talk about functioning labels. So
yes.
Yeah. So the meme that I saw made me laugh so hard because there's been a debate online for like years now about functioning labels, whether you're like high functioning or low functioning. You know, high functioning anxiety, low functioning autism, like etc. So there's one like post that I saw that was so funny where it was like, high functioning anything just means you've been able to trick people into thinking you can function. And it just killed me because I was like, it's so true.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so true.
He just got...
Literally.
My dad is a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah, my dad...
He's downstairs drinking right now.
Literally.
You're right. His bosses just think he's a sober soul.
Yeah.
My dad...
Because when you drink so much, you have a higher tolerance, right?
My dad is like, he's also a high functioning alcoholic. He does groceries. He like has a job, you know, he does shit drunk all the time. And it's just his natural state. It's just his natural state.
And some people are like that with weed too, right?
Yeah,
like, I'm like, how? I'm so different. That's when you know it's kicking in.
The thing about, like, when it comes to substances though, to me it's like self-medicating. Like my dad, 100%. Like, look at all the problems I have. Of course my dad has like problems. It's passed down, okay?
Yeah.
And then now my nieces have the same issues, and then I have like everyone, we all have the same issues. So it's like, I know that my dad has something, but he grew up in a country where it was stigmatized. There was no access to mental health, mental health resources without getting yourself thrown into an asylum and basically like being shut off from the world.
Yeah.
So there's stigma.
Correct.
And then on top of it, like they basically had to fight through it on their own. So now he self-medicates. I know 100% that's what he's doing because when he's not drinking, I think he feels like he can't function. So when he drinks, he can function. And a lot of people, like you said, with weed, a lot of people who have ADHD actually self-medicate with weed. That was something that me and Jacques did a lot before we got diagnosed. I can see it
because weed is a very common substance, especially if you just go on a CBD kind of...
And it's a stimulant, too. It's actually a stimulant.
Yeah.
So some people feel like they can function better on certain drugs.
I smoke all kinds of weed, so I'm like, I get times where I'm just like... You know, Netflix.
It's legal here, by the way, in Canada.
Just Netflix and ordering some food or whatever. And then other times, I'm like, I'm gonna smoke weed and just redecorate my room or something. You know, like it's just so like.
Thank you. Thank you. You're on my side. Wait, what?
Not a lawyer.
Got my bag. Anyways, go on.
Z snap formation.
I love that you do that. You did that
but you have to do it in the Z formation, you know?
So the episode that came out today, you did that like 3 times.
I did?
And I didn't notice.
I didn't know.
He was next to me. I was like, blah, 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 and he was like, Z formation. It's so good. Anyways, go on. I love that. Just ignore him.
But yeah, so people with like the high functioning, like, and it's very interesting, like, I don't want to say it's sad. I want to use a different term, but it's just very interesting that people who are who are utilizing these substances, whether it's alcohol or weed or anything else recreationally, they have to. Their reality is that other realm, right? Being, like, let's say in the drunk state or the high state of whatever. That's like their reality.
Normal. That's their normal, I guess.
But they're not with our reality.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? But then again, to be honest, if you walk into a mall or any event, majority of the people there are not even sober and in reality.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Like all the moms are on Xanax. All the guys are drunk. Everyone else is high. Everyone else is on other medications that are not necessarily like, you know, like in a sense of to get you to a higher state or whatever, but in a sense of medication for your own health problems.
Yeah.
But that still has its own,
but you
like
know,
loopy doopy.
loopy doopy. But it signifies a bigger issue though. Correct. Because like for my experience,
everyone's trying to escape from the reality.
Escape from reality, or it's hard to get a diagnosis for certain things, right? Like I thought I had ADHD for 4 years before I got a diagnosis, and even then, like getting the diagnosis, I was lucky because I was in my last year of college, and I found out that the college provides bursaries to pay for those diagnoses. It was $2,000 to get diagnosed. Which $2,000 to get diagnosed.
To get diagnosed.
And and Canada, you know, we're supposed to have free healthcare, but mental health, it's not free. The only free thing I got was like, it was like the only free thing that I got was a psychiatrist, and now after Ford cut the funding, she told me she can't talk to me unless I'm in a crisis. So literally, I have to wait until I'm about to kill myself to call her. That's how bad it's gotten, right?
And it's also fucked up in Canada that if you want to commit suicide and you call, like, you know, whatever.
The suicide line? They put
you
on
whatever.
Hold.
And
they put me on hold 6 times. Yeah. You know, 6 times they put me on hold when I called the suicide line, and I sat there and I'm like, "It's time, it's time."
Okay,
I'm about to kill myself. Just wait.
Just
be with you in a moment.
Just hold up in your corner.
I hear the voicemail, and then the voicemail is just like, "Would you like to fill up a survey after 2 minutes after this phone call?"
Yo, the two things
Yeah.
that a free society needs, and it's not accessible normally.
A free society?
Like a proper society.
Yeah.
should have.
Okay.
Yeah.
A utopia society, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should have, right? Mental health.
Yeah.
It's the only part of our healthcare. We're known for our healthcare. It's the only part of our healthcare, and we need it.
Yeah.
It's not free.
Yeah.
And financial education. It's the one thing not taught in free schools.
Correct.
Yeah.
But that because it benefits in their favor.
Yes.
Not in
Yeah,
our
yeah,
favor.
yeah.
Exactly.
They want us to be in debt. They want us to be buying
That's
everything with
how
no
you
regard,
roll over your citizens.
paying the interest every day. They're profiting off. So there's something that's called the ADHD tax that they talk about online.
Stop.
No. It's not a government thing. It's kind of like a joke where the ADHD tax is like, because of your ADHD, you forget to pay bills or you forget to do certain things, and then you pay interest on top of it, or you spend money without realizing it impulsively, and as a result, you owe a lot more in interest, right? So like if I miss an appointment and they charge me $160 for missing the appointment, even though it's supposed to be OHIP covered, that's an example, right? Or
one of those cancellation policies.
Or like I have a hard time managing my credit cards. I'm paying so much interest because of it, and they call it the ADHD tax because of my disability, I end up paying more money than the average person. And the government benefits, so they don't care. They're like, yeah, go girl.
Oh, yeah, because the interest benefits them, right? So it's
so then I'm not gonna get any support from the government for that. They're gonna be like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So guys, here's a fun little story. So
I need more wine.
I had my credit card. So when I was in college. So I had my credit card for years before that.
Yeah.
It was steady at what it was. It never raised. They never called me because I paid it off regularly.
Yeah.
It was like low. When I was in college, every time I emptied out my credit card, if I can make the minimum payment and wait exactly 4 months, they'd raise the limit.
Yeah, they did that with me too.
And I did that from $1,000 to $40,000.
Oh wow. Because you would pay it off and then just wait a bit?
And then all I knew, as long as I can maintain the payments, in 4 months they'd raise my limit, and I'd have more money to last, because then every month when they're taking out, they're just taking out of the money they just gave me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But then you didn't use it and increase it though, right? Like your debt,
It was increasing my debt, exactly.
Oh yeah, because that's what happened to me.
I spent it, I maintained it, and then they'd increase it again.
Yeah, they do that to me too.
And they kept doing that, and they kept doing that. But
I
it was
refused
funny
last
that
time,
when my card was paid off, I never heard from them.
Yeah.
They never offered me an increase when it was perfect paid off. Only when it was a debt. They just kept.
They like debt. They like debt. They love it.
So
they love that I'm in
predatory.
so much debt that I'm drowning.
Yep.
It was a predatory policy.
No, we're cutting this out. Stop.
No, it's okay.
Stop.
No.
Cancel yourself. Alex. Okay.
Hashtag.
Cancel yourself. That should be like the that should be our hashtag every episode.
Yeah.
Cancel yourself.
Hashtag cancel yourself. What should we do? Cancel the K.
Yeah. We're just so extra. Okay. So, okay, no, we're not going there. Yeah, so, but that's the thing, too, is like, oh, sorry, we totally went off topic, but it is an interesting point to make is the fact that, like, I've heard that in Europe, it's really hard to get a loan in general. They don't do, like, the whole credit card debt thing in certain areas of Europe. And if you get a loan, it's like you have to prove that you can pay it back and things like that.
Europe was a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, but then in North America,
it's a bit more proper, you know, like they're a bit more
North America,
conscientious on their their people.
Well, that's the thing.
In the
It's
Western,
like
they're not.
Here, they're just like, oh, you're drowning. Oh, you owe money. Oh, that's great. Here,
do you want more debt?
Yeah. You want more? Okay, here you go. This is what's gonna fix it. It's like no. Anyways, so what I was actually gonna say about the functioning labels. When I originally introduced it.
You sure don't have ADHD?
I do.
I think everyone has ADHD to a certain degree.
I'm diagnosed. Don't do the whole everybody's a little bit ADHD.
Why not?
Because you probably have it. You're just not diagnosed. No, but not. No, we had this discussion last episode.
Are you saying that people don't have?
People do have it, but I'm just not everyone has it. Not everyone has it. No. Because we had this conversation last time. Because
my ADHD made me forget.
You weren't here for it. It was
with Alex. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had this discussion. It just all it does is it just what's the word? It I can't think of the word. It kind of like minimizes the struggles of like having the disability.
Yeah,
like,
okay, yeah.
Because it's like, yes, everyone can get distracted sometimes. Yes, everyone.
It's not about the distraction.
Yeah, but it's like, and it's not even, because it's not really about, the reason that we seem so distracted and inattentive is because there's several issues we have. We have issues with executive function. We have issues with executive function. So we have issues figuring out how to prioritize things.
Yep.
Issues with working memory, so it's like maybe I might remember something randomly from fucking 10 years ago, but I won't remember what I just said 5 seconds ago, right? Yeah. So we seem like all over the place because our brain doesn't function the way that everyone else's brain functions.
Correct.
Right? So yes, everyone can have these symptoms, but it has to be a certain amount of so the DSM-5 is like the manual for
scale,
this.
okay,
It has to be a certain amount of symptoms, and it has to affect your daily life to a certain extent, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, because otherwise it's not considered a disability. It's just everyday like struggles for everyone.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I don't.
That makes sense. Yeah, like
that's why I don't like. And then with the functioning labels, what I was gonna say is that it's been a lot of debate online too, because I've heard people saying they were literally diagnosed as high functioning this or high functioning that. Mm-hmm. I was told I had high functioning anxiety and depression.
Okay.
Right? So to me that didn't make sense because I'm like, I'm anxious and depressed. So what do you mean high functioning? I'm like, I'm coming to you because I'm ready to jump off a cliff. What do you mean high functioning? Like literally what the hell? and what they and so when I read that that's literally all it means was like the functioning labels are harmful because they're like, you look like you are succeeding at life, therefore you're high functioning. You look like you can, they're basically saying, oh, you've had a job for 3 years? That's not normal for someone with ADHD. You're high functioning, and it's like, but what they don't realize is how much I struggle on a daily basis
to maintain that
job
for 3 years.
It's like I'm very lucky that I have been able to keep this job, but in all honesty, I have imposter syndrome. I'm like, I don't know how I'm flying by. Like,
so and the contrary aspect, does that mean that someone with anxiety and depression who cannot keep a job for more than 3 months, they're considered low functioning?
Yeah, that's what they would call it, and that's why. But that's why
I think the term high and low is a bit.
They're trying to abolish them because it's like it doesn't make sense. You're saying low functioning one. It's like you're implying that like, you're kind of like insulting the person, saying you're low functioning, like you can't function. But at the same time, like when you say high functioning, you're saying because you're saying that I don't need support, but it's like I really do. I think you really do.
I think it's like maybe it's this psychological.
Low functioning, they're autistic. When they're high functioning, they're on the spectrum. There's a difference.
I just spilled my alcohol. I'm gonna throw you out the window, Alex.
Where's toilet paper?
I'm not using that. No, I'm not using that.
It's clean. It's not used toilet paper.
I'm not gonna wipe it on my pants. The pieces.
Yo, B, I just
Oh,
call it
okay,
like
you
I
just
sees
stab
it, bro.
No.
What do you mean? You know that's what it is.
No.
I met someone.
I do not
I met
endorse
someone
this.
who was autistic, who was on the spectrum for the first time. I didn't even know they were on it. And that's what the first time I ever heard the word spectrum. See?
You're talking about me?
And now it's happening for the second time.
Every episode.
But
No,
everybody
the third.
else
This
before
is the
that,
third
it's
time.
autistic, and everybody uses the word autistic. I'm just saying.
So actually,
Well,
correlations.
just so you know now, they don't use the term Asperger's syndrome because when Asperger was like a Nazi who like murdered autistic people.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so now they just call it ASD, autistic spectrum disorder, where everyone who falls on the spectrum. So people who had Asperger's were considered the high functioning autistic people.
yeah,
right?
that made sense
So-
because there was a doctor in Grey's Anatomy. I know Grey's Anatomy is a made up show, but I just
Made up.
but it's
made
still,
up
like,
doctors.
But yeah, but it's still you know.
This doesn't apply. Yeah, go on.
But it's just the idea that that would be a prime example of a high functioning someone.
How much did you pour in here?
I topped it up.
It's like every time I take a sip, it's like all. Oh my god.
Use your
Anyway,
straw.
No, it's in there. I forgot about this.
So
Go
then-
on.
But it still shows that someone with a disability or a syndrome can still be a doctor in a sense,
Yeah,
and
well-
you would see those cues and stuff like
well,
that.
actually,
Now,
it's-
in the reality of things, I don't know if there is someone like that.
But no.
because,
But you know what? I read this thread. It's like I follow like a lot of autistic pages, like Autistic
Nice.
Book Club and stuff like that. And they had this whole thread about how like being a doctor is like the best profession for an autistic person. Don't have to talk to people really. If you do talk to people, you're like you have this and this. You don't need social skills. Like every
there's,
doctor.
like, the Good Doctor show,
Yeah, but it's like all they have to say is like you're dying, you're not dying, you have this, you have that, and then they like go take this medication, okay, bye. Like they don't have to give a shit, right?
So-
And the majority of it is like focusing on one topic. So if like they're really interested in what they're doing as a doctor,
As a study,
then they'll
yeah.
just like excel, right?
Yeah.
So the people are saying like those type of jobs are amazing for autistic people.
Yeah,
'Cause
but it's like it's sarcastic.
no one's gonna like avoid hiring a doctor because they're mean. Like I have a lot of rude ass doctors.
We're just very blunt, like they're just. straight
And
to the
I've
point,
told this story of like how they're very, very. Some of them are very harsh, rude, blunt, insult me, and like no one's gonna fire them because we need doctors.
Yeah.
We need every doctor we can get.
No, I know.
So yeah.
I also heard this other thing where, for people with disability, like the mental disabilities, for example, that they're actually, IQ is very high.
Not everyone, but some can.
But in our society, they're not displayed like that because
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it's true.
Like they're almost on a society scale. They're almost
They're considered
labeled as lower.
Yeah.
When in reality they're probably actually higher, but they just function differently. They
Well,
don't function
that's-
on a society. Plus, speaking,
Yeah.
Generally speaking too, the average human IQ I feel is so like below standard
Isn't it like
too.
90 or 80 or 90 to like 100 or something like that is like the average?
That's pushing it. When you look at Americans.
Or is that okay?
No, I'm looking at Americans, but y'all can take offense too.
Oh my god!
Hashtag cancel. What was it? Cancel myself.
No, but I agree with
But-
you in the way like of what was it?
Like-
There's like the example of if you tell all these animals like I don't know, like a raccoon and a squirrel and like a bear to climb a tree.
No,
right?
say dolphin.
No.
Okay, yeah, go on.
Okay, but there's also a dolphin.
Yay!
And you tell all these animals to climb the tree, they're all gonna climb the tree, but the dolphin can't, and then they're like, you're stupid. But it's like once they're in water, everyone else is like struggling.
That's the Albert
right?
Einstein. If you judge
Yeah.
a fish by its ability to climb a tree,
Yeah.
you will forever think the fish
The-
will ever think it's stupid.
Yeah, but
Right?
but that's.
Sorry, what?
Are you paying attention, Alex?
Yeah.
We can fact check this.
Turn that up.
Anyways, oh my
Not that I'm
god.
not paying attention.
God, what are you
Did
saying?
you just hear what the fuck you said?
About Albert Einstein.
Judge a fish to climb a tree?
Yeah.
If you judge a fish based on its ability to climb a tree, it will forever think it's stupid.
But if
That's-
you judge it, but yeah.
do
in a
you not
different context, if you
understand?
I
judge it-
get what it's saying, but do you hear what you're saying?
I hear what I'm saying. What are
I'm
you
just
trying
quoting
to say?
Albert
All
Einstein.
right, yeah, all right. That's cool.
Okay, what is he trying to say? What are you trying to say?
No, go ahead.
Do you see what I do on a daily basis? Like, anyways.
But yeah, I agree. Like it's precisely true, right?
But it's funny because it kind of goes back to the whole school prison thing, like institutionalization.
Right, yeah, it is.
Because one thing I noticed in school is like a lot of it was how much you could basically do what the teacher wanted you to do. It didn't matter if you really learned anything. What mattered was pretty much if the teacher said, "I want it done this way," and you don't do it that way, you did badly.
Your time management, your context. I've learned
or like the way, like even the way you write it sometimes. If they didn't like the way you wrote it, if it was too different, like I noticed that in school, they would get so mad about it.
Some teachers can't implement their own biasness.
Yeah.
Right.
Biasness.
Well, I mean, like in a sense, like if they can read certain students' handwriting easier than others, and the students that had more of a chicken scratch handwriting.
Me.
And the teacher gave them a more poor mark because they had to struggle more, then that's, I would say that's kind of like a biasness, you know? Like,
but I'm not talking about bias even. I'm just talking about well, maybe it is bias. I don't know because I'm not a teacher.
It's like the influence, you know? Like they're choosing your mark and they're subjective to that too, right? Like each teacher has favoritism, but even though favoritism should not really be applied to a class.
But if they have like a rubric of how they should mark it, like what the hell does it say? How creative you are? What's the definition of creative?
So I learned with the rubric. I mean, the rubric are very helpful and useful, but I've also learned that generally when they give you the task of an assignment, that general task is a level 3, right? It's when you go above and beyond is when you actually strive for level 4. So even though they give you the rubric,
I would go above and beyond and they'd get mad about it.
Yeah, like there'll be times where I would do like presentations and it'd be like 5 minutes and I'm talking for 15 minutes. I've always gone above 90s. No, of course, yeah. But I just have so much to share and stuff like that.
You're like, yeah, but you're interesting to listen to as well. So that's probably why you got a good mark. I
hope so. Like,
whereas with me, the teachers were like, sit down and shut the fuck up.
It just seems like I couldn't condense everything in 5 minutes. Well, but it's interesting because like I also didn't have that stage fright or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Other people, like other students, would talk for like a minute or two and then like conclude, you know?
Yeah.
So like that's always.
I had stage fright, but no one thought I did.
Because you're high functioning.
I'm high functioning. I just tricked everyone into thinking that I was fine. Yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that. There was something I was gonna say about institutionalization.
Yeah, and the teachers and the bias.
What was it about it? So
like
the thing is like when I don't know if it was biased or not because it's like I'll give you an example. We were gonna talk about college and university versus like school when we were kids too, where I had a class when I went to university for like 2 years, didn't finish, and I went to this class. And I remember, I don't know if you went to university or if your college was like this, but what they had in university was like the lecture halls would be huge, a lot of students, right? So what they would have would be, I forgot what they were called, but it was when TAs would host like a class once a week. And you would be with your TA with like a small group. I forgot what they were called. Yeah. But they was like you were basically like once a week you had like a small group of people like with a TA. Like you your
professor and the lecture, and then later
you had a TA that week who would like basically have like go through the materials with you and practice stuff. And I forgot where I was going with that. What was I going with that? Whereas I was so into that.
She went from high functioning to mediocre functioning.
Yeah. Oh my god. So I remember now. So I had this class. It was when I took English and we read a book. And the TA was asking us our opinion on something. Like our
opinion. What was the book?
Our opinion. I can't remember, dude. This was like 8 years ago, bro.
I remember my books from high school. Or not even
8. How long has it been now? How old am I? This was like 11 years ago, okay? I don't remember. So, oh God, it's been so long. See?
Age is just a number.
It's creeping up on me.
Yeah, age is just a number.
I'm getting old.
And then prison is just a place. Do you remember that?
You got cut on me. Oh God. What was I saying? Okay, so it was the TA had asked us what our opinion was for this book. Our opinion.
Okay.
And someone
that's subjective.
And listen, someone answered what they thought a passage in the book meant, and he was like, wrong. And then another person
Well,
was
if
like,
he's asking for the definition of passage,
but,
that's different.
but he was explaining like, oh, in this passage, I feel like the author was trying to say this and that they meant this, and then they were like, wrong. And then someone else answered, they were like, wrong. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm not gonna answer because you're gonna be like, wrong. Like, what's the right
English
answer?
class has always been known. Like, there's memes about it always.
So snobby.
Where it's like, what did this, verse say about in the book, right? And it's like, the sky is blue. And it's like, wrong! The sky is blue because it represents
society
and society. You know what I mean? Like that's how English teachers are. Like, they're always, like, very, like,
but
deep
this
about
was
everything.
university!
Which is even worse.
What am I learning here? Like, I felt like I was just learning what your opinion of the book was. And it's funny because then he would say, so what the author meant was this, that, and that. And you know what? I read this, like, interview. This was a long time ago where it was, like, a lot of famous authors were interviewed. And there were passages in their book, or there was, like, the theme of the book. And they were like, what was your intention with this? And they were like, honestly, I just like planes. Like, they didn't have some deep meaning behind it. Like,
they were just very real. And
they were just like,
I
just did it because I wanted to do this. And they say, like, some of them would be, like, annoyed with the interpretations people had. They like, people would say, in English classes, they're teaching kids that you meant this and that. And that it was very political. And they're like, not at all. I'm not even. But, I know there were some that are. Like, obviously, there's some authors very, like, opinionated.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Like, they're always going to
But then there are some that, like, I wish I could remember now, but I remember, like, one of them was an author we talked about in that English class, and I was like, I knew it! He didn't give a shit! He didn't know what the hell he was writing about. Yeah. I was like, the teacher was wrong. Anyways, where was I going with that? I don't remember. Oh, yeah, one more thing that I was going to say was how we were talking about institutionalization, and then we were talking about college and university. So the thing that weirds me out is, like, I don't know if anyone else experienced this, but, like, in elementary school, high school, they would fearmonger us, like, if you went to university, you wouldn't be allowed to be late. Like, if you went to university, you would fail if you did this. Or the professors would be so mad. And it's like, I went to university, I would show up with coffee.
Whenever you wanted. Like,
whenever I wanted. My professor didn't care. I would bring food. I'd be eating food while they didn't care. Okay, I felt so free when I was, like, in college. I was like, I feel like an adult. And in school, I don't know what they trained me for, because it was not for this.
Can I share a little small story? When I went to college, everyone knows, like, in post-secondary, you can do what you want. Most teachers even say, like, if you have to take a phone call, don't ask me. Just step out, take your phone call, come back. Like, you do it as you please, whatever, Just don't disrupt the lecture or the class.
Yeah.
So there'd be a lab, and I'd have to, like, it'd be at the end of the college campus. And by the time I get there, like, the teacher would actually lock the door. And I'd get pissed off.
And not let you in? Oh, I think you told me about this.
Because sometimes I would only have that lab for the class. And I'm like, you're kidding. Like, you're not going to lock me out of my lab that I need to attend, that I'm also paying for.
Yeah.
So, like,
you're
I like, knock, and, like, they would just ignore me. And I'm like, oh, you want to tell me? So I would take off my shoe, and I put on my steel-toe boot, and I would just start kicking the door until he opens the door, and I just start walking in.
I love you
I'm
so
like,
much.
Excuse me.
You're like, I'm paying you to be here, bitch.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is my, like, third year. I'm like, none of the other teachers have, like, no one even cares if you're late, because if you're late, that's on your own self, right?
Yeah.
Because you pay for your own tuition.
Yeah.
That's your own education. If you're late, then you're late on your own. But I'm late because of the freaking parking lot, fiasco.
Yeah.
And so by the time I get to the camp, like, to the actual lab, he locks the door. The audacity!
The audacity. That's funny.
But yeah, I just wanted to share that.
No, I remember you telling me about that, and that I did have, like, one professor. It was an elective too. It wasn't even part of, like, my degree.
And they take it so seriously.
And they were so mad when we would, like, talk or come in late. They'd be like, "Oh, you're coming in late." I'm like, "Yeah, bitch, I'm an adult. I have a job. I have responsibilities. Okay, like, I'm not living at my parents." Going to school, like, I was working while going to school.
Like, we had to hustle.
Yeah,
like,
you know what's funny is actually I was working at a law firm while I was in school, right? It was kind of like not a lawyer, but I was working there. Jesus. I was working there while I was still a student, right, to get some experience. And I remember that I was helping one of the employees. I'm not going to specify anything, so I don't want to. Yeah, but I was helping one of the employees, and they knew that I was a student, and they knew that I was going to class. Like, I had to leave in, like, 15 minutes, right? So they kept asking me to do this, do that. And I said, hey, so, you know, I'm leaving in 15 minutes. Like, I can't miss this class. Like, I literally can't, right? It was like I don't remember if it was a test or something, but it was like I had to be in class.
Some kind of priority, yeah.
And so, you know, they were like, oh, okay. And then when the time came, I was like, I'm leaving. And they're like, you're leaving? What about this? And I'm like, I have to leave.
That, like, sucks
I was like, I know. And I was like, I'm leaving, bye. And I left. And I remember that, like, when I came back, like, the next time I was in, I remember one of, like, the employees told me, they're like, oh my God, they bitched about you so hard. They were just like, how could she do that? How disrespectful. And they were like, I defended you. I was like, she's in school. She told you 3 times. She's going to class. I don't know why you're mad. And I remember I was, like, so annoyed. I'm like, am I just not allowed to go to school anymore? Like, I just work here now. Do you not want me to get my license? I don't understand.
Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah.
Workplace is also just as much as a prison.
A prison.
Isn't it?
But at least I got paid.
No, I know. Okay.
I got paid to be in the prison.
Well, yeah, but, like, even then, your pay is not ever adequate towards your time.
It was not that bad for an intern, to be honest.
So workplace environment is also just like,
Do you have a mic? No? So, shh. That's right.
Just like kind of in the workplace environment, because now we're adults and stuff, like, you know, if you're looking at, like, the average person making anywhere between 50 to 100K per year.
Yeah.
It's like, it's still not adequate for your actual time, right? Mm-hmm. Not to mention, when most people get a new job and let's say it's salary based,
yeah,
you're working 52 weeks of the year and you get 2 weeks off. Mm-hmm. And let's say for an average about 50K if you're just starting off, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're fresh from university or whatever the case is from college.
If you're lucky. Sometimes it's like 30. Like, well, some places are slave drivers. Anyways, go on.
That's what I'm saying. or even less and stuff like that. Yeah, it's all different. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of crazy because I remember I saw this one, I don't know if he was a comedian or something, but he was pretty much, and he was British, like he had like a whole accent. And stuff.
My God.
And he's like,
British.
You know, like everyone, you know, is working all year to make $50,000. He's like, I sold a house and I made $50,000 from that. He's like, you might as well take the whole year off. You know what I mean? Like, but that really put things into perspective because like, he made $50,000 from just selling a house.
Yeah.
And people are working all year to make $50,000
to make that amount,
and only get 2 weeks off vacation.
Yeah.
Like, workplace is also just as much as a prison as school.
Well, especially...
Yay or nay? Yay!
Well, especially when it's like you're underpaid for your time, right? Like
overworked,
if you feel, overworked.
Which is like almost every workplace too.
I mean, it's a wicked saying. Your boss will never pay you enough to live beside him.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
so
true.
think where your boss is.
There's some companies that do.
Think where you place in the chain of his company.
Yeah.
And somewhere around there is where you'll probably live forever if you work for them.
I just gotta say, for the record, I actually love my workplace. They're really, really good about everything. No, I'm actually saying this.
Loving your workplace is one thing.
No, I'm saying this genuinely, even pay-wise. I'm saying this genuinely. Like,
at this age, you know, like at this time and stuff like that.
No, genuinely. I'm saying genuinely.
So
like,
you're saying that you can buy a mortgage? I mean, even with the crazy
Listen,
market?
if I didn't get debt during the pandemic and have to pay my mom's bill, yes, I could probably afford a mortgage. Oh. No, because my financial issues are related to a lot of other things.
Yeah.
But if I started off without debt, with this pay, I could afford a house.
Yeah, okay.
But the problem is that I have so much debt and interest to pay that I feel like I never have money. It was like, I don't know if you saw, I sent a meme where it was like, you know the picture of Charlie Day when he has like...
Charlie who?
Charlie Day, where like, okay, I'll show you. Charlie Day, he's a comedian. He's on It's Always Sunny. And, okay, I'll show you who added me on freaking Instagram.
Follow?
No, like they tagged me. Oh,
that's
this
me.
This one.
I tagged
so it's
you.
like me explaining to my parents how even though I make more than both of them combined, I still have no money saved. I'm like, and it's a picture of like when Charlie Day is like on the board, and there's all these like papers and lines, and he's just like looking
trying to
crazy.
explain everything to them and be like.
Because it's true. Because the thing is, like, for one,
financial education, like financial literacy. Yeah,
it was like I'm in so much debt because of student loans, right? And I'm also...
many factors, yeah.
And I'm also in a lot of personal debt because for 6 months I didn't have a job because of the pandemic. And I couldn't afford to live within my means. CERB wasn't enough. Listen.
What?
It wasn't enough.
Serb was daddy.
Do you know how much I was working? I was working like 16, 18-hour shifts, and I was making more than Serb when I was a fucking student because I was hustling. All right?
I got the Serb, and then I paid off all my debt. I like had a clean slate.
Wow, good for you.
I'm not gonna get greedy, and because money can always be toxic in that way.
Yeah.
And then later on, like the debt just gonna accumulate again.
Yeah.
Because like Serb was like that was back in what 2020.
Yeah.
That's like three springs ago.
No, it was 2020.
No, 2020.
It was when the pandemic started in March.
Yeah.
That's when everyone applied.
Yeah, so 3 springs ago.
2020. Yeah, 2019 there was no Serb, there was no pandemic.
Yeah. That was pre-pandemic.
Yeah. Chopper looks
Pre-COVID.
so like he's like tripping out. He's like, "What?" It's like, "What happened in 2019?"
He's like, are they gaslighting me right
now? He's like, "What did I do in 2019?"
Yeah.
Dude, 2019, I was living it up. I was having a
I
great
was in
time.
Europe. I was traveling everywhere.
I was like partying. I was like in school, working like crazy hours, but I was also partying. I don't know where I got the energy from, man. I was manic. I was like manic.
Yeah, I feel like COVID like really like.
COVID made me go from like
energy.
COVID made me go from manic to literally I am Snorlax. Like I just sleep
all
the time.
I'll get you the special flute.
Music does wake me up a little. So I am like.
But I'm not gonna be playing any sad emo music. Because I don't know them.
Stop judging me.
I'm not. I don't.
Stereotyping sad emo music. I always text him. Like I text him when I'm sad. I'm like, I'm listening to depressing music. He's like, listen to happy music. I'm like, no, no, I want to be sad.
Yeah, but when my nose piercing is falling out, I called you on panic.
He literally video calls me because he's like, oh my god, my nose piercing fell out. What do I do? And I'm like, I can't help you right now.
I'm like, no, you have to help me.
He's like, tell me what to do, and I'm like, I don't know. Push it back in.
I'm like, it's not.
But you figured it out.
Yeah.
You're a smart cookie. So
as long as I'm not a raisin cookie.
You're not a what?
Raisin.
What? Why do people have a problem with raisin cookies? Raisin oatmeal is actually really good.
Because I have trust issues because I always thought they were chocolate chip and you bite into it and it's
raisin. Yeah. That was the worst in like elementary school when you thought it was chocolate chip.
You just see a cookie and you're like,
oh my god, and it's raisin. But there was this raisin.
The betrayal.
There was this raisin oatmeal cookie. I don't know if you remember Royal York Station. You
yes,
know that little like convenience store that's set up in the station. Like when you
Royal York?
It's So at Royal York, when you get off the subway and you go upstairs, there's like a little like
that little
like
one.
Kiosk or whatever it's called. And they had these raisin oatmeal cookies. Like it sounds gross, but they were the best shit I ever had in my life.
I think if you like right meal,
oatmeal right meal.
Oatmeal raisin. Hybrid.
But I never liked oatmeal raisin before I had these cookies.
So maybe they were just made differently.
And I can't have them anymore because but they were the best things I ever had in my life. You should try them one day.
Is there anything that you could do where you can just like have something that's not gluten free and then just take like an injection at the same time?
Nope. That's not how celiac works. See, it's an autoimmune disorder. My immune system, no matter what, will kill me.
Okay, fine. Just eat it and then go to the toilet.
It's not about that. It's about my intestines. It's not my dirty bati, okay?
So then eat a cookie and have some tea.
Dirty bati.
Have some chai tea.
Twitter. That's our tag. Dirty bati.
Do we have a Twitter? We're working on it. Oh my god, I haven't been on Twitter since I was 14.
Right? Like.
Or maybe 16. I don't know.
Twitter's
high school. Alright, so let's move on.
Yes.
Astrology.
Yes. Oh, we're at the end.
He's so excited.
My little wedding celebration.
Oh my god. Okay, so astrology.
Yes.
I'm gonna get into it. I don't know what I was gonna get into though. Okay, but I will say that it's my Saturn return, which I think I've talked to you about. And
What's our current?
I don't know. I haven't looked it up, so I'm bad right now. But what I know is myself. So right now is my Saturn return.
Let's give people some like background.
I will explain.
Yeah, no, for both of us, right? Like, let's
yeah. I will explain. So
okay.
So the reason I got into astrology was actually when I was like 16. I was always interested in it, but then I had a friend who got me deep into it, like into the birth charts, reading the books and everything. And a lot of people have a misunderstanding of astrology. Like, there's this joke now that it's space racism, you know? It's like...
What?
Yeah, like, people say, like,
Space
oh,
racism?
you tell someone you're a Gemini, and they're like, oh, ew, I hate you, you know?
I'm a Gemini. I'm triggered. No, I'm kidding.
You're like, yeah. So, you know, the thing about astrology that people don't understand is, like, for one, it has deep roots into, like, very, very old, like, religions or spiritual practices. Hinduism is a big example. Even Buddhism is, like, astrology, like, the idea that the universe affects us in some way has been an idea for thousands of years.
Well, even in Egyptian times, too,
exactly, right? So, yes, I know that there's people who are, like, you know, I think I'm good still. Okay. I know there's people who are still, like, very science-focused, which I get, right? That's, like, your opinion.
Well, astrology can also be science-focused, too.
Well... people call it a pseudoscience, and I wouldn't call it a science. I would call it like a spiritual thing because we can't prove. We can't actually prove.
Well, because it's energies, and science is not studying energies. Because if you go by, you know, Nikola Tesla, and the world studied energy, vibration, and frequency, you would achieve a lot. But science is unfortunately doesn't study energies, frequencies, and vibrations.
Well, and we it does, but it can only do certain things. Like we can only read, like we can read if something has like what's the word, radioactive energy. We are able to read that, right? Like
But how did Nikola Tesla understand it? How is he able to?
I don't know shit about
free
it.
energy?
I don't know anything about.
Tesla
I know that he did like electricity stuff.
Yeah, so he was the one that really discovered electricity, not Thomas Edison.
Yeah.
He was the one that was actually able to find that the ground and the earth was actually giving off electrical magnetism or radioactivity or whatever the case was.
So yeah, I couldn't tell you why.
And so he was able to construct these towers that would have given people free energy, right?
Yeah.
But obviously people...
Wasn't that like Elon Musk's goal originally when he was not a jerk?
Well, the thing
to
is,
give
Elon
everyone
Musk
free energy. And
well, yeah, because if you think about it, it's like...
But then now
it's available,
like,
right? But because of capitalism, they rather monetize on it, and, you know, because it works better in their favor than the
people's.
Yeah, the people's favor.
Yeah.
And so that's why, you know, we are in this kind of society. And that's why that's why Elon Musk named his first electrical car Tesla. Because if you think about it, there was already electrical cars way back in the 1950s.
Yeah.
But it was very, like,
it was
insignificant
new, right?
because, like, electricity was very cheap. So oil or coal and gas and whatever, diesel, whatever, made more money than electricity.
Yeah.
So they kind of, like, dismissed that concept.
Yeah.
But it was available. Like, they had the technology.
Well, that's the thing that's frustrating. I hear about this all the time, that it's available, but, like, because of either money or politics or, like...
And that's why I don't stand by that, because it doesn't go by an ethical perspective, right? Like, it's like we have shifted our society into a direction that's not for the best interest and the most
ethical is
optimal...
not profitable.
But it doesn't have to be, because ethical is ethical, and, like,
I know
what's ethically and morally right
I agree with you.
Justice and the most, like...
I agree with you, however, it's not profitable. That's the problem. And if they try to make it profitable, then it'll be too expensive. Like, it's too expensive.
Money dictates our life, our society, and that's sad.
But so moving on. No, I agree with you. I just want to get into astrology.
That's fine. I just to share my little tangent. So
Derailed.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Bye.
This is typical Gemini behavior. So, anyways.
Now you see me, now you don't.
So now we're in astrology. So the thing about astrology that people misunderstand, it's not about judging people based on the stars or the planets. It's mostly the planets. The constellations are the stars, but the planet placements with the constellations is what makes astrology. Yeah. And in my opinion,
because they're radiating energy.
And in my opinion, they're like, I definitely believe, like, we have only scratched the surface of what there is to discover about the universe. Yeah, to discover the universe, and I feel like there's a lot of things we still don't know. So I like the concept of astrology because I feel like it's something that for thousands of years people made these weird connections about things that happen, right? Like, oh, this often happened on a full moon, or, you know, this often happened when the planets were in this position. So it's interesting to see the connections people made and the fact that they actually tried to, like, you know,
They observe the pattern.
record the patterns,
Yeah.
and talk about it, right? And so it's cool because like ever since I was 16 and I was looking into astrology, I found that it was so accurate to my life, to my like the things that I experience, like to the T, like to the T, like literally. And so, anyways, I just find birth charts fun because the one thing I love about birth charts is that when you look into it, it's not saying you basically this is your destiny, like you are gonna be this way. What it's saying is what you're predisposed to.
Yeah,
I see it as
based on like the energies of the planet's alignment at that time.
And it's based off of you, your environment, what you grew up with, and your placements. Because the way that I see it is like it's like a blueprint in a way. It's like a blueprint to understand yourself, and also to better yourself, because it's not like
the more you understand yourself, the more you're able to improve.
Because when you see the joke, there are these jokes where it's like, oh my god, I crashed my car because I'm a Capricorn. Like, oh my god, I killed someone because I'm a Scorpio.
I went over a curb because I'm an asparagus.
And you know, they're funny, but the thing is like that's not what astrology is about. It's always about improving yourself. It's like how you can improve yourself and your circumstances knowing what you know. And I found it was like a very helpful, almost like mental health journey for myself, because I found out a lot through my birth chart and through my life, like when I compared the two. And it was also like, and it's weirdly comforting too. Like, you know, people find comfort in God, in religion. I find comfort in the stars and planets. Okay.
I would just say like as long as someone's not utilizing astrology to the point where you're like, oh, you're a Scorpio, we can't be friends. Oh, you're this, we're not compatible.
Then they don't understand.
It's like they don't understand. It's like technically you can literally be compatible with everyone. Yeah. And with all the signs and stuff like that. There's just gonna be some select few.
Because people don't look at birth charts; they look at the sun signs, which is not. It's not a determinate thing.
Yeah, precisely, and like not to mention it's just in general like.
Which I was gonna say, I just want to explain. Sun sign is like this zodiac sign that probably everyone knows that they're born under. So like if
that's
I was
the surface level.
Yeah, it's like I'm a Capricorn, that's my sun sign. You're a Gemini, that's your sun sign. But then there's other ones where it's like where the moon is placed, where Mercury's placed.
And you're rising.
You're rising. You're Lilith. Like there's so much. There's comets.
Your house.
Your houses. And
it's like Harry Potter, you know, like which house do you belong to? But zodiac edition.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, continue your point. Do you remember?
That was it.
Oh, okay. So what I was going to say about it was that I'm going through my Saturn return. So what that means is basically Saturn is in the position that it was in when I was born. So my Saturn's in Pisces, which is related. So Saturn, okay, I'll explain this way. Saturn is a planet. Saturn is a planet of time, karma, and harsh lessons, or lessons in general. So a lot of the times, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so like that's my life. Anyways, so the reason people fear their Saturn return, it's usually around the time when you turn like 27, 28, and it lasts like a few years. The reason they fear it is sometimes, you know, things that you've been avoiding are slammed in your face, and you have to face it. You have to, and Saturn is supposed to be like the father of the zodiac. It's like the dad that's like, learn responsibility, bitch. Yeah. So the reason I'm scared of my Saturn return is because sometimes a lot of people kill themselves during this time. Like Kurt Cobain is a good example. He killed himself during his Saturn return. And there's a lot of people who have gone through extremely traumatic experiences during their Saturn return. There's some people who haven't. Some people have, like, the idea is that if you've been facing a lot of your challenges, your Saturn return is not going to be super traumatic. But if you've been avoiding it, it's all gonna come at you and be like, here you go, like problem, but for 3 years. That's gonna be my life in the next 2 years. Which I feel
like you're pretty proactive with some of your problems.
I would like to think that, and to be honest, my Saturn return hasn't been that bad so far. Like, it's been bad in the way where it's been super annoying. Like, every day has been a problem. And it's like something comes up, but I always deal with it, and it's like not new for me. But in my chart, I have a lot of Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, so I feel like that's why. Anyways, this is all astrology stuff. So, I don't know if do you think I'd have time to do birth charts? Like, do you guys want your birth charts done? Like, I don't know if we have time. How much time do we have? What time is it? Is anyone paying attention to what's going on? What? So how long has it been?
Yeah.
An hour? An hour and a half.
I
Yeah,
think-
there wouldn't be time for it.
We could do
Okay.
it off time.
Yeah, but you know.
In general, birth chart will just kind of show, like, to kind of, give the viewers some background.
Yeah.
It's just basically to kind of share your time that you were born, AM or PM, your location, to kind of distinguish
when you were born.
To distinguish
Like
where the planet's alignment at that time. So, in, let's say, my case, I was born June 1993. Gemini, cusp with Cancer. Thank you.
Which also I was gonna say, cusps don't exist.
No, but we already.
You're a Gemini.
But
People always say cusp because, like, my half brother says he's an Aries Taurus cusp, and I'm like, you're an Aries.
But then where did this cusp kind of come from? Like, where did
because
that kind of really
because
get
the idea it came from was that the fact that the sun is transitioning into the new constellation, it's affected by that. But the thing is,
like, how do I have tendencies on the other side?
But the sun is not affected by that sign directly. What it is that, like, it's most likely that other planets might be in that next sign, which is why you're influenced. So, like, I'll give an example.
But, like, I'm very, like...
So your sun is in Gemini. Your sun is in Gemini, and it's close. It's like in probably the 29th degree going into Cancer. Like, it's in the last degree.
Yeah, it's like 2 days off.
And the reason that we specify that is because usually if you're in the last degree of the sign, if you believe in reincarnation or past lives, it means that you are at the end of that lesson you're going to learn in life. So I'm in the very late degrees of Capricorn and Scorpio, which means that basically in previous life, I had a lot of lessons that were related to, they were related to basically difficulties I had in life related to money, difficulties with emotions, especially because I always go into the rant, but it's like that my North Node is also in Scorpio. So
your North?
My North Node, so it's too much to explain, but for anyone who knows astrology, it means that in my past life, I had a lot of issues when it came to, like, close relationships. Trust was a big problem for me in my past lives. Intense emotion, expressing emotions were a problem. And if you're in the late degree, it means that you've probably reached the end of those lessons. Like, you're in the last period of your, like, reincarnating life, where you're probably not going to have to deal with this in your next life.
What if I don't believe in reincarnation?
Then don't.
I'm a Cancer?
It's too late for you. No, you're not a Cancer. But the idea...
I don't have Cancer. Yay!
The idea is that, because your sun was transitioning towards Cancer, a lot of, like, the moon changes every couple days. Like, it like moves around, right?
Yeah.
So it's and Mercury
yeah.
and Mercury's pretty close as well, so it changes frequently as well. So it might be likely that a lot of other planets are close to that sign, which is why you're influenced by it. Which is true. You have a lot of Cancer in your chart. I've done your chart.
Yeah, and that's
you have Cancer placements.
So for mine, just as a refresher, I'm like, sun sign is Gemini, moon sign is Gemini.
Yeah.
Rising is Virgo.
Like me.
Yeah, and then I have Mercury. Mercury is my planet and stuff like that, and
but like,
Gemini
is ruled by Mercury.
Yeah, and I always read, like, things about Cancer, like, just like as a, because
I'm pretty sure you have like a Cancer.
Like, I'm basically like 70-30 kind of ratio.
You have a Cancer like Mercury or something, or Cancer. I can't remember.
I don't know. It's just like because like Geminis are like generally heartless and like
You're not heartless.
Not heartless, but just like indifferent. Okay, and then.
Impartial.
Impartial, sure. And then Cancers are like very emotional.
What?
What?
Well, just like on the.
Do you have the mic?
Yo, you guys are just gonna bump over that, like.
Bump over what?
Everything she just said about being heartless. Don't try to twist it. You're a hater.
Her?
I never said heartless. No. He said heartless. I said you're not heartless.
No, yeah, what you were saying about like
the Geminis.
Heartless, yeah, like you don't like them. You don't care for them.
No, I just meant like heartless as like.
He's a Gemini.
No, as a sense like that Geminis can be like detached, like they can be very like desensitized at times. What?
Asshole-ish. Like Jamil's a Gemini. He's an asshole.
Yeah, like
but we have to do his birth chart to know the truth.
We can because Gemini has that ability to like just very like detach and see things from a third perspective.
You guys are able to see all perspectives.
Exactly, right?
That's why your mind is racing.
We're not bipolar. We're multipolar.
I think say they can do more than they can. You guys just have problems.
I think you're biased towards Jamil. He's living with Jamil and he's like, I'm done with this guy. He's like, fuck him all. Wait, let me just...
We're very complicated, but we're also simple at the same time.
June 19th.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now. And what was the time?
11 a.m.
Is it exactly 11 a.m.?
Okay, I don't think it's gonna matter that much.
Okay, it does matter because every half hour it changes. So.
Okay, no, I'm between 11 to 11:10, 11.
Oh, okay, so that's not a huge deal.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right, let's find out. Okay.
Can you hold my hand with my palm outwards so I can like?
Yeah, you have a Cancer Mercury. I remember that.
Yeah,
you have a Taurus Venus. Love you.
How'd you see it already?
Because I'm looking at it. You have a Leo Mars. Oh my God, you're like my ex. Stop. See.
Maybe I am your ex. No, okay.
It's okay. I'm joking. You have a Libra Jupiter. You have a Saturn in Pisces. You're going through your Saturn return with me. Oh my God, we're gonna suffer together.
Twinning.
Toxic. Your Lilith is in Pisces, which is funny because your Saturn's in Pisces. In retrograde, honey.
Honey, I like some honey.
Yeah. So, all right. So whenever a planet is in retrograde, it's usually like things are kind of like in reverse in a way.
So does that mean every time you have a planet in return, I'm gonna have it as well because we're matching with Saturn? Or is it just because
you're having your Saturn return right now.
So that means...
Because Saturn changes every 27, 28 years.
So that means all of our signs are going to be in sync? Or is it just this one's in sync?
Sorry, what?
So you're saying that...
Oh, you're saying... No.
You're a Capricorn who has a Saturn return.
You mean all the planets would be in your sign when you were born? Is what you're
No,
saying?
I'm saying for you and I.
Yeah.
You're a Capricorn with a Saturn return.
Because Saturn is in that constellation for 3 years. So from 1993, I think, till 1996, everyone's going through their Saturn return at that time.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're all
not special.
We're all going through it.
You're
not special.
Got it.
I know you want to be special. You can't cancel me over that.
Okay, Gemini is also known as Gemini.
Gemini?
Yeah, or G-Mini, whatever you want, you know?
G-Mini.
But I like gems, because we're gemstones.
You are a gem, though. And what's funny is a lot of your planets...
And look, there's a plate of gemstones here.
What?
Isn't it so pretty?
I thought you were pointing at me. Wow, that was so rude. I thought you were like, look, there's a gem. And then he goes behind me.
You're a gem person. These are gemstones.
Okay. I see. Are they real, Alex? Are these real?
They look real.
Are they fake?
Rocks.
Yeah.
Don't call them rocks.
They're stones.
Or gems.
Are they real?
Hope so. I got them from what's that water park in Niagara Falls?
Niagara on the Lake.
So, what I find interesting is that
it's pretty.
a lot of your planet, like, so your sun and your moon are in the 10th house, which is Capricorn. So that's why I feel like we get each other, because even though I have a lot of Capricorn, Scorpio places, it's in the 3rd house, Mercury, Gemini. You have a lot of Gemini, Mercury, but you're in the 10th house, Capricorn, so it's like, why we get each other? You know?
This is astrology math that I don't understand.
I know. He's like, I'm with it.
Yeah.
Because the houses are how the energy is expressed.
Yes.
And the planet is basically what it is, if that makes sense. So it's the core of who you are in certain aspects. So the sun is like your ego, what you show to the world. Your moon are your inner emotions that usually you only show to yourself or like people really close to you. Mercury is how you communicate, right? And so the way that you express yourself and your emotions is very much like a Capricorn. You don't get really deep into your own emotions. You get very analytical or logical about it. So
yeah,
so it's
true,
and the way that you explain it, it's almost like you're giving a TED talk about
how you to that.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, and when you express it, hold on, it's in the 6th house. Is that Leo?
You just said 10th.
No, your Mercury. Your Mercury's different. It's in the 6th house. I think that's Leo. Hold on. 4th,
you're the expert.
Cancer. No, it's not Leo. It's Virgo. It's Virgo, which is Interesting, actually. So you're Cancer,
Yeah,
Mercury.
my rising
because
is a
Virgo.
Virgo
is also ruled by Mercury, but it's like the yin and yang. So there's Gemini and Virgo. Virgo, I think, is the yin, and then I think Gemini is the yang.
So I'm double Gemini, double Virgo, double yin, double yang.
You just got a lot of talkative energy.
Yeah!
Oh my God, why?
No, that's just
Alex,
Oh,
I see you in the group chat. I got a notification.
I'm like, don't get distracted.
Anyways, so a lot of your energy is expressed in that way. And then my energy is like that too, because when you have Capricorn Scorpio placements like me, a lot of the times you're supposed to be considered introverted. But because they're all in the third house, I express my energy verbally a lot. So it's like, even though
Which is, in a sense, healthy because it's better than bottling it
but
up.
it's also toxic because it's like,
I think bottling up, your thoughts and emotions is a bit more picking your poison,
It's
choose
both
your poison.
toxic.
That's
because,
what I'm saying. Yeah. But like out of
if you're
the two, I'd rather choose the more expressive side than bottling side.
But if you're unhealed, so there's like I don't remember what it's called. It's not called unhealed. I think it's like
treated.
Undeveloped. I don't know.
Okay.
It's like basically it's like a juvenile state of each zodiac sign.
Was that a pun?
No.
Okay.
Was it a pun?
Because we talked about prison earlier, so juvenile, like juvie, whatever.
Juvenile detention. See, you catch those things. I don't. So it's pretty much like an aspect of a sign that is not developed, like probably not very much like experienced and wise in what they've dealt with in life yet. So with me, for example, like being someone who has extremely intense emotions but expresses it verbally all the time was a problem.
Yeah, because
it's too much for people.
Yeah,
it was
for
like,
sure,
and I didn't know how.
You're very like direct because remember how we talked about like that meme? You're very like self-aware when you're in the therapy session and you're like.
there's a meme where it's like people who are self-aware in therapy and they're with their therapist and the therapist is like, so how are you doing? It was like, well, I'm not doing that great because I have daddy issues and like blah 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 and like I think it stems from like all my bad relationships.
Yeah.
And then the therapist is like, I think that's it's like related to my abandonment issues. I know.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's me in therapy. Like when I saw my therapist, she was like, you're so self-aware, and I'm like, that's the problem. Like that's the problem. It's like I know I'm toxic. I don't know what to do about it. Like I don't know how to fix it. Tell me, what do I do?
I know it's me, not an issue, but I don't know what to do.
It's like I need you to tell me what to do, and they're like, you have to figure it out. I'm like, this is a problem. This is a problem.
Oh my god.
So where was I going with that? Yeah, so it is toxic because it's like I didn't know how to regulate it. Like I wasn't regulating it. I wasn't getting treatment. So I was just like blah 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 blah.
Blur.
But now I'm more tactful, I think. As much as I can be. As much as I can be. I know that I slip sometimes, but I think I'm a little more tactful than I used to be.
Yeah, you just have to kind of like catch yourself to kind of see when you do notice it.
Yeah.
And just kind of like
Like on my birthday?
back, like just what?
Like on my birthday, remember when I had like a meltdown with
At
you?
the hotel.
No, it wasn't a hotel. It was through text, remember?
Oh yeah. I'll think about the Montreal. I'm like, no, that was different.
That's different. You weren't there for that.
Like your birthday wasn't that time. Yeah, like I mean, it all like you're not gonna get it overnight, obviously. Like it takes like time and practice and stuff like that. But as long as you're being like more self-aware and more conscientious.
Well, as long as you
about those situations.
As long as you can develop like coping mechanisms.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Because I didn't
not
have
alcoholic or.
Cheers. Alex is sitting there. He's like, "What do you mean? Like she's an alcoholic?" What? Fish? What? Crawfish?
You really don't want to listen to this podcast.
Preemptively.
When in doubt.
When in doubt, do that. Oh, Jamil's gonna be so mad about this.
No, he'll do it.
Where are the coasters?
I'll just become Consuela.
Stop. Where is he? Where is he ever? Okay.
I clean.
I'm
down if I do, I'm down if I don't.
Chopper, did you hear what he said? I think he was insulting you directly.
No, she's been a shit stirrer.
No, I'm not. Stir the pot.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, there's this. Oh, I don't know.
Like drama?
Did I ever send you? There's this I don't know, influencer, I guess, Benny Drama. I might have sent you his Zodiac videos.
Oh, I think,
they're
yeah,
so
like,
funny. Like, he did this one for Libra, where it's like Libra in a relationship, and it has he has a literal pot, and he's stirring it, and he's like, babe, I think you should tell them to, like, stop doing that. Or like, babe, I think you should tell, yeah. He's like stirring the pot, and it made me die, because I was like, every Libra I know is so like that. Like, they're very much like, they're like, I want to keep the peace, but in the secretly, they're like,
it seems
they're like, come on, start shit.
I'm trying to, like, I was at this event with some friends, and one of them was like, man, the way you were playing was so unfair. The other guy was like, he's basically calling you a bitch. I'm like, are you a Libra?
Are you a Libra?
If you're basically telling me, like, you know, like,
maybe. I don't know if they'd be that direct. Depends on their placements. If they have a Sagittarius Mercury like Jacques. Like, if you have a Sagittarius Mercury. So Mercury is a planet of I know you guys don't. I'm just talking gibberish probably to some people. So Mercury is a planet of communication. It's how you communicate. If you have a Sagittarius Mercury, Sagittarius, that sign, they're like, they don't give a fuck about, like, they're free spirits. They're like, I'm gonna say what I want to say. I'm gonna be blunt, and I'm gonna run away
whether you
and
can
be on an
or
adventure.
Not, like, you know,
and
like,
Jacques has that as his Mercury.
Really?
So listen, when we
I don't see him that way.
Yeah, but he's like this with me. When he gets comfortable with people, because he's also a Capricorn. Like, he's like a triple Capricorn.
But I think, like, but don't you prefer personally, like, people to be more direct?
I do, blunt? But I don't appreciate it when he grabs me and he's like, move, and I'm like, just say please, bitch. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, but he doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean it in a harsh way.
In a
like,
malicious way.
Yeah, like,
sure.
I know him. I know him well enough now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
But it's like, in the past, when we started dating, I was so mad. I was like, the fuck? How do you think you could speak to me that way? Like, excuse me?
Yeah,
and he would just say things like really, really blunt. But then, like, after he would laugh when I'd get mad because he would be uncomfortable. Because when I get mad, I get really mad.
Yeah. So, he's like, what?
And he's just like freaked out by it. And then he would laugh, which would make me more mad.
Oh my god.
So
like, you think this is fun?
He has a lot of trauma from those days.
PTSD,
because it's like, because I never understood, like, his intentions, but it's like, now I get it. I'm like,
yeah, because now you actually know him.
Yeah, I'm like, you're just talking, like, this is just
how you're getting triggered from each no action, because you're like, trigger.
I'm triggered a lot by what he says, but, like, now it's like, I know how to maintain it. I'm like, okay, Jacques loves you. Remind yourself, Jacques loves you. It's like, he's not being a jerk.
But yeah, so you were saying that the Mercury.
So as long as it's not a Sagittarius Mercury, I don't remember. What was the story? It was the story you told, wasn't it? So yeah, the Libra. So if it's like, I can't imagine a Libra with a Sagittarius Mercury. I feel like that would be like a lot of chaos.
Probably.
Because, okay, I don't know if you get it, but it's like Libras very much love, they don't love, they like drama if they're not in it, but they don't like drama.
Okay, let's be real. That's literally everyone. No one likes to be inside the drama. But when there's drama going on Facebook,
I mean,
Instagram,
sometimes I kind of like
within the family, we're like, what was that again? Sorry, I missed out. Can someone fill me in? Like,
but I feel like the sign of Libra, like, they very much try to come off as like they're the mediator. They're
high
impartial.
Functioning.
They're
right.
They're
high functioning.
They come
pacifists.
They try to be like impartial.
Yeah.
But they're not, because they secretly have an opinion that they just hide from everyone, and they just like sit there and they're like, yes.
Sounds about right.
They would be the perfect villain, actually, because they would like come off as like so nice and so helpful, and in secret they're like pulling all the strings.
So funny how you mentioned villain. Don't you find it interesting when you see some characters from like something that's made up, whether it's Disney or anime or whatever. Yeah. And it's like they have their own birthdays, which is like, sure, whatever.
I look up their birth charts every time. I'm just telling you.
But it's like,
every time.
But isn't that kind of fascinating? Because it's like they're making this character.
And sometimes they're accurate.
But like, let's say, for example, Naruto.
Yeah.
I'm into Naruto. But like,
I watched it when they were kids, and I watched like 2 seasons of Shippuden.
Yeah, exactly. But Naruto himself is the Libra.
Yeah.
But I don't he doesn't radiate Libra tendencies.
Oh, he definitely does.
What?
He definitely
No.
does. 100%.
How?
He has a lot of like you'd have to do his birth chart. He has a lot of aspects that are very much fire, like probably
Libra's
Aries,
air.
Sagittarius. I know.
Oh,
let me
like that.
finish.
Okay, birth chart.
So
yeah.
Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo, he has a lot of fire in him.
Yeah, because
But as a Libra, you can tell even in the show that he tries to like mediate, especially when Sakura gets mad. He tries to mediate and calm her down, and he tries to like make sure they like. He's a bit of a shit disturber, but I feel like there are a lot of aspects of Libra that come out because he very much he loves people and he wants to be around people.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like being rejected, and he wants to make sure everyone is happy. He wants to bring Sasuke back no matter what. Like. There's a lot of Libra in him. I could see it.
I thought he was Gemini.
He's like me.
But
I mean, he might have some Gemini.
Yeah, but I just find it very fascinating that like for these TV shows or authors or creators to like incorporate the zodiac signs and astrology into the characters, which is like, how much do they know?
But you know what's interesting is I think in Japan it's a lot more popular. Like it's kind of popular here, but it's a lot more popular. Like they do a lot of that stuff. Like you watch anime and they're like they tell you their blood type and what their blood type means.
Yeah,
like
that's
I'm
true.
AB and it means that I'm like this and that. And
yeah, they do their research. That's why I love anime.
Because originally also like a lot of Japanese people like in the past were originally Buddhist. Right? And so when you look at Buddhism and Hinduism, there's a lot of like looking at the universe and how it affects people. So they have roots in that.
Also
especially
like Avatar.
in these.
I also love Avatar.
Yeah.
Avatar is like a Western-based show, but based on like Chinese or Asian culture and stuff. And, like, historical. Which I'm so excited for all the new seasons and everything else coming out. But
I haven't watched Legend of Korra. Don't kill me.
No. There's even things after being released.
Oh, they're releasing more stuff?
I think from this year until 2027. They're releasing movies, more shows, the new Avatar. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Like, I'm literally so excited. I'm like, can time travel just exist?
I didn't know!
Yeah. It's a whole thing. I'll send you a link after.
Yes, please. Okay. But yeah, so I found that actually when I looked, like, you know me, I look up everyone's birth chart. So it's like, I watch a show, my favorite character.
You might look at like a crystal ball that's just like...
I look up everyone's birth chart, I'm just like, who are they?
in your future,
Who are they? And then when I've looked it up in anime, it's been very accurate, like, to their personality. And I feel like that's how they create their characters, because even when I create my characters, like for my webtoon or like for my mini comics, I already know what their birth chart is. I'm like, this is how they are. This is how they express themselves. And it's fun because it's like you have almost like this formulaic way to create a character. You're like, well,
which I think is very helpful and beneficial.
Yeah, because then it's like, because then sometimes I feel like when I get stuck on a character, then I'm like, oh, well, they have like this Mercury, so let me just like include this like scene that they're too blunt, and then it causes a problem. So I feel like it's just another aspect that just helps with the creative process, you know?
I can see that.
I found it's been very accurate. But anyways, I think we're running out of time.
Yeah.
We're hitting the 2-hour mark, so with astrology, it's gonna have to wait.
With that being said,
we'll talk about it next time. I hope
the next episode from B to
Z.